Now, all these urban scenes are very zoomed out, aren't they? We're viewing from a long way away. What if we zoom in for something? So here, we'll take a shop front and we get that shop front through a big rectangle. Bring down a sort of doorway-like shape, another rectangle. We can sort of pop in some door furniture. That kind of explains things a little more. Looks a bit like a face, doesn't it? Just goes to show that simple shapes can look like anything. And in this case, hopefully, it would become clear, because context is everything, it would become clear that this is in fact a door and not a strange square face. Above, we can suggest some little windows just to show that we're in a building. We don't need to finish them off, we keep them nice and light. We can bring down, imagine this is one of those kind of tight city streets, like in London you get these sort of tight streets, and between every door it feels like there's another drain pipe. And bring that across, and now we can do whatever we want. We've got this window. I think something fun to add in might be an idea of a bakery, perhaps. So here we can come back. We have our little croissant shapes that we drew in our everyday objects. We can just make them really small and repeat them and stack them up. We can do little suggestions of bread. What's bread? It's kind of a rectangle, often with a little sort of semicircle on top, isn't it? A little bit of hatching, and we're just trying to suggest, again, really this is suggestion. This is not trying to say exactly what's going on. It's trying to go right from the little bit of visual information, a little bit of context. Someone can view this and have fun working it out. Have fun seeing what this is. Using simple shapes, we can create cake, even with candles on. We could create different types of cake. We could have cake which has a little bit of icing kind of dripping down the side, or even create a little cake which has got tiny little figurines on top or something like that. And these kind of simple ideas, again, are easy for our brain to work out. And then we go, this is bread, this is croissants. We can see everything happening like that if we just keep it simple. Underneath it's dark, so we'll pop something there, and maybe what we can see in the background are people gathering around, people sort of with their hands just below the shelves having a good look at the cakes. And above them it's a bit dark because you can see the kind of the ceiling above all of these lovely bits of pastry and cake and bread and hopefully deliciousness. Now, my writing is awful, so I often avoid writing, and I'll just write nonsense or little bits of gobbledygook above. What I'll do is I'll show you a mix here. So here, to make this even easier for people, we could write in little letters cafe or bakery, whatever you've decided this is going to be. For me, I love going to work in cafes, so it's always a cafe for me, and a cafe with a nice bit of bread or simple food and lovely coffee. And then alongside, this is what I'd often do, just do stuff which suggest, like this isn't, I haven't drawn a cake, I've drawn simple shapes. Here I'm not drawing letters, I'm drawing simple lines which, from a distance, which is how art is viewed, looks a bit like writing, and it gives people the idea. If you wanted, you could even give them a little emblem. So why doesn't this cafe have a little cake as a kind of emblem sat there, giving it some more context. Now let's have another bit of fun. Let's go down here and we'll draw a tall structure. And here, perhaps we can just build in some characterful sort of flats. So we'll come down, we'll split our flats up into different floors. So we kind of got these different stages here. On top of a block of flats, you often have lots of interesting things coming out. So let's do some satellite dishes, little cables, couple of TV aerials perhaps. And then coming down, we can just start creating fun little repetitive shapes, simple windows. And then out the front, we can have little balconies. We don't need to overcomplicate things. We don't need to draw in perspective. We can just give the sort of, all the clues we need can be from a simple front-on perspective view. So we've got a simple doorway, simple windows. And we'll come down. Let's sort of divide this a little better so we can have a nice thick division, and then we can swap it around so we can have doorway over here. This one can have a slightly more ornate kind of balcony, and maybe on this ornate balcony we've got some people just stood there. You can hatch in the door and give them some windows, and it's these clear repetitive shapes, tells everyone all they need to know to be able to work out what's going on in the scene. We have windows, these shapes must be windows, these shapes must be doors. It's the only way it sort of really makes a bit of sense. And then we can come down again, and let's again flip it around, and again to create that illusion of detail I'm going to keep the windows the same, and this time what we can do, we'll have our balcony here. We can do another different balcony. This one can have really big sort of ironmongery. That's what I'm imagining this to be, the kind of ironwork which decorates lots of balconies. We'll have these doors. This time they can appear to be open just by angling our shape. Again, a bit of hatching in there and back here. And now what we could do, we could have some fun. We can hang some clothes out. So we just do really simple shapes. Look, it's a simple t-shirt, maybe a little dress, some socks, and whatever else, little towel, something like that. All of these things just hung up on a little bit of a washing line outside this modern feeling block of flats. To keep it modern, the lines are all straight and tall and long, but there's also a bit of fun in there. We can add other little details. We've got lots of TV things going on the top. No reason they can't be down here as well. We can add sort of little suggestions of marks, bricks if you want. You could have cables, so we've got a cable leading around here, or even we can have, to show the height of this thing, we can have maybe a telephone pole just poking up here, and the wires from that telephone can go onto the house and then come around until it reaches somewhere else. Have these wires just tangling all around. They can just tangle up and down around these buildings and going into the houses. Just a little bit of fun. Again, simple ideas, shapes, lines, loops, nothing at all complicated. These clothes aren't really standing out, are they? But if we just give them some hatching, and again, remember, restating important lines. So if these clothes are now an important part of the story of what's going on here, then restate them, make them stand out, make them bold. Maybe we can have someone here and someone here as well, just having a little look out of their lovely shuttered, or well, at the moment, can't be shuttered windows, can they? Because they're looking out of them. Make these other lines bold, and there we go. Really silly, but really, hopefully, a little bit of fun as well. Now, everything we've done so far is very neat, which is absolutely not a problem. But why not also have a fun, break out, and just loosen up and see what happens if you, maybe one of my favourite things to do is focus on those shapes, but whilst doing a kind of one-line drawing. You might notice me doing a lot of one-line drawing elsewhere as well, but why not really focus on it? And for one of your urban shapes, let things flow and float and move around, and just see what happens if you take a more relaxed and sort of abstract view of drawing your street. Do you see how you may or may not like this? I personally love this, and I know sort of many people I teach love this style, and they love this style because, well, that's why they find me, because they want to do this style. It doesn't mean you have to love this style, but it's fun, it's relaxing, it's quick, and in seconds, just focusing on shapes. We built a little street flowing down, made of simple, delightful little shapes. And you can add people, you can add the pavement, you could add distant trees. It all just comes together if we just think about these really simple, loose and light shapes. So have a go. We've done a few different things, zoomed in, zoomed out, semi-rural, very modern and packed flats. See what you can do, see what you want to do, have a bit of fun, and fill up a page with delightful little sketches.